The night was draped in an oppressive silence broken only by the occasional creak of the old house. The moon cast long, eerie shadows that danced across the hardwood floors. I lay in bed, my eyes fixed on the ceiling, a sense of unease settling in the pit of my stomach. Just as sleep began to claim me, a distant sound echoed through the darkness. It was a soft, shuffling noise like footsteps on the stairs. My breath caught in my throat, my pulse quickening. I strained to hear, hoping it was just my imagination. But the sound persisted, growing louder and more distinct. Someone was in the house. Panic surged through my veins and I clutched the sheets, my mind racing. I knew I had to act. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone and called the cops. My voice barely above a whisper, I relayed the situation to the operator, who assured me that help was on the way. I hung up, my heart pounding in my chest. I forced myself to be silent, straining to hear any clue about the intruder's location. The footsteps grew closer, the floorboards groaning beneath their weight. Sweat dripped down my forehead, my breath shallow and rapid. Suddenly, a shadow emerged in the doorway. My breath caught, my eyes wide with terror. The figure was dark and indistinct, a menacing presence in the moonlight. I held my breath, praying it was a trick of my imagination. But then the intruder stepped fully into the room, their features illuminated by the pale light. It was a tall figure, clad in tattered clothing, their face obscured by shadows. My heart pounded in my chest, my mind racing to make sense of the terrifying reality before me. The intruder's gaze locked onto me, their eyes gleaming with an unsettling intensity. They moved closer, their footsteps deliberate, each step sending shivers down my spine. I was trapped, my mind a whirlwind of fear and desperation. Summoning every ounce of courage I had left, I scrambled to the other side of the bed, my eyes never leaving the intruder. I felt for the drawer where I kept a small concealed weapon, my fingers fumbling in the dark. As I retrieved the weapon, a surge of determination washed over me. I would not go down without a fight. The intruder continued their advance, their movements slow and deliberate, like a predator closing in on its prey. With a surge of adrenaline, I sprang into action, lunging at the intruder with all the force I could muster. The weapon connected with a sickening thud, and the intruder let out a guttural cry of pain. They stumbled back, momentarily stunned. Seizing the opportunity, I bolted from the room, my heart pounding in my chest. I raced down the hallway, the hardwood floors echoing my frantic footsteps. I could hear the intruder in pursuit, their breath ragged and labored. I reached the front door, my fingers trembling as I fumbled for the lock. With a final, desperate push, the door swung open, revealing the moonlit night beyond. I didn't dare look back as I sprinted into the darkness, the cool night air filling my lungs. Minutes later, the distant wail of sirens pierced the silence, growing steadily louder. I collapsed onto the dew-covered grass, tears streaming down my face. I had escaped, but the horror of that night would forever be etched into my memory. In the days that followed, the police conducted a thorough investigation of the old house. They found signs of forced entry and evidence that the intruder had been living there, hidden away in the shadows. It was a nightmare made real, a reminder that terror could lurk in the most unexpected of places. I never returned to that house, the memory of that night haunting my dreams. It was a lesson learned in the most terrifying way possible, that sometimes the monsters were all too real and they could be right on your doorstep.